Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are J.P. Hoyer Montessori School team. This is Jess, Liz, and I'm Yoonjung. Our agenda is as follows. After introduction, I'll briefly explain about our grant application. Liz and Jess will explain about our strategic plan, which is consisted of 3 big objectives. Recommendation will be our conclusion. So, who is our client? As you know, J.P. Hoyer Montessori School has a pre-kindergarten program and an elementary school program. They provide Montessori learning environment to students from age 3 to age 12. Our task was to develop a strategic plan to get Montessori School certified as a green school. So, what is this certification? Maryland provides initiatives to schools to be more green. This certification is one of their programs to motivate the schools to become more green. And there is a great benefit for the schools. When the school is certified, it gets statewide recognition. Also, Maryland provides the school with native Maryland trees, like the banners, flags, and other gifts as well. Most importantly, in the process, the students will learn how to become more green and learn actively participate in the school's environment-friendly program. We also applied for the public service grant. We managed to work out the plan in a narrow timeline, and we succeeded to get the $2,500 grant money. We were so excited, so we sat down with Dr. Witt to discuss where to exactly spend the money. And for now, we are funding for the school's birdhouses, school garden, upcoming Earth Day celebration. So we have to give the grant committee a purchase request form for every purchase we make, along with the receipts and our choice of payments. We recently submitted the project update form, and until May 1st, we have to submit the project final report to describe what impact we have made through this project. So from now on, Jess will continue with our strategic plan.
Okay, so moving into our strategic plan, we'll start with objective 1, which is curriculum and instruction. And there are 3 criteria under this objective, and all 3 need to be met in order to become certified. So the first criteria is environmental issue investigation, and the school has actually already completed 2 activities under this criteria. The first being that Adventure Theater came to perform the green play at the school, and the second activity is that the students went to an outdoor camp where they learned about environmental activities. But one of our recommendations is that students participate in an investigation of invasive species on campus. And this is one of the areas where a community partner, such as the Cheverly Garden Club, could be brought in to help identify those invasive species. And then the students can then take this lesson into the classroom and learn about the negative effects of the species, and then work on a project to help plant native species instead. So the next criteria is professional development, and this is an area that the school needs to do a little bit of work in. But our first recommendation is that teachers participate in workshops. And this would preferably be of teachers' preference and what they're interested in, because they're going to be incorporating what they learn into the classroom. And we've recognized 2 organizations that actually offer workshops, and one is the National Wildlife Visitor Center and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. And they both offer workshops for teachers where the teachers actually earn credits for it. And after completing them, the teachers would also gain access to certain areas for field trips, which is really great. Another recommendation we have, which might be a little bit easier to implement, would be bringing a speaker to the school for the teachers. And this is another area where community partners could be used. They currently have 2 partners, the Cheverly Garden Club and Progressive Cheverly, where a member could come in and teach the teachers about rain barrels or salad tables or composting, or one of the other initiatives that the school wants to implement. And then the teachers could choose to go depending on what their curriculum and what their interests are. So the next criteria is celebration, and this is something we're working with the school with right now. We're actually planning to do an Earth Day celebration on April 29th, because they have their spring break during actual Earth Day. And then on this day, students are just going to participate in environmental activities around the school and do a little bit of cleanup to help them get on their way to being certified green. But another recommendation that we've made is that the school could do class competitions, where, for example, the class that maybe recycles the most or saves the most energy would win a pizza party at the end of the month. but that could also be varied depending on whatever other activities are going on at the school at the time. Or they could also do student awards, and this could be a weekly, monthly, or even an annual award for those students who go above and beyond working on green projects, or who maybe are members of the Student Green Committee, and ideas like that. So now we're moving to Objective 2, which is the best management practices of the school's operations and the actual campus. And there's 7 criteria under this objective, and 4 of the 7 need to be met in order to be certified. So the first criteria is water conservation. And our first recommendation is that the school participate in an erosion control project. They have an area at the back of the school near the playground where there's a hill that's eroding, and when it rains, the dirt sort of washes down into the playground. And this is an area where the Prince George's County Soil Conservation District could come in and help them figure out what exactly would be the best solution for the problem. And then the students could work to help, plant the plants to fix it, and also learn about it in the classroom. And another idea, which is sort of in the works as we speak, is a rain barrel project, where obviously the water from the roof would be collected in rain barrels that could then be used to water the school's gardens. And there's a community partner who already has the know-how to do this, and we would be willing to help out with the finances for it. And then 2 future recommendations, maybe when the school goes to get recertified in 4 years, would be to install low-flow faucets around the school, or to reduce impervious surfaces. So maybe if the school's blacktop is getting really old, to basically tear that out and put it in a more environmentally friendly surface that would maybe allow water to soak through, but also be more appealing to the eye. So the next criteria is water pollution. And our first recommendation is that students participate in storm drain stenciling, which can be acquired from the Department of Public Works. But what would basically happen is the school would get stencils that the students could then use to paint on storm drains around the school and community that would help stop community members from allowing harmful chemicals or trash to go down the storm drains and therefore into the watershed. You might see them. We actually have some on GW's campus. And then another idea would be just planting native trees and shrubs, because this will help filter the water and also cool water as it eventually soaks down into the watershed. And then a future idea would be for the students to attend a watershed monitoring field trip with the Anacostia watershed. And here they could do a little investigation of pollutants, and maybe this could be incorporated into a science class or something like that. And then they could do a project to help improve the watershed. So the next criteria is energy conservation, and the school has already taken a huge step in this area. They've installed motion sensor lighting around the school, which is really great. But another recommendation we have is that students conduct an energy audit. And this is just as simple as contacting the energy provider to see how much energy is being used and then ways to save energy. And then each week or month, students could calculate the energy savings, maybe in like a math class or something like that. And this would also be great because they would be encouraged to save energy at home as well. And then another idea would be to introduce a power off policy. So this would be students making posters and campaigning around school that when electronics or TVs or computers in the library aren't being used, that they be turned off. And this is another area where students would then be more likely to take this home with them and turn things off. And then some future ideas would be to install energy efficient lighting, or to just slightly adjust heat and air conditioning temperatures to just save a tad bit of energy. Maybe the building's a little too hot or too cold.
Okay, the 4th criteria is solid waste management, and currently the school is working on to reestablish the local recycling contract, and in the future we want the school to place recycling bins in each classroom, and then for the future add recycling bins for plastic water bottles, cans, and cardboard in the school cafeteria. And then another program we started was the no trash lunch boxes. We're encouraging parents to pack lunches with no waste, meaning that all sandwich containers and whatnot are reusable, and we're encouraging them to do this on Tuesdays. And we actually created flyers that were handed out to parents during a school dance. And then something for the future that students were really interested in when we talked with them was building a compost bin on school grounds, and that can be something that the school works towards for the future as they're recertified. The 5th criteria is natural habitat restoration. We're hoping during the Earth Day celebration to do a little bit of trash collection. Since the school is in an urban environment, there's definitely some littering, and we're hoping students can make no littering signs and hang them around and really encourage people to throw things away. And then something for the future, down the line as the school needs to get recertified, they can
establish a no-mow area on school grounds, and this is where school groundkeepers wouldn't mow anything, and then students can use this in the classroom to see what would happen in a no-mow area. Usually it's just the soil is improved and it enhances natural wildlife. The fifth criteria is building structures. Something else we're going to do during the Earth Day celebration is building bluebird boxes. Bluebirds are a struggling species in Maryland, and it's something that the students could do to kind of help with the initiative of improving the environment for bluebirds, and it would be a fun activity for the kids, obviously. And then something this could go along with the no-mow criteria that I mentioned before, creating an outdoor study site on school grounds. This would just be sectioning off a place in the school playground that students could use for outdoor education and whatnot, and they can examine the environment in the classroom. And then something that we're working with the Cheverly Garden Club for our community partnership is planting flower beds during the Earth Day celebration, and they're actually really willing to do that, so that's really nice. And then the rain barrel, that fulfills both requirements actually, which is great because it is easier on the school, obviously. And then criteria 7 is responsible transportation. Currently the school has a bus system. When we met with one of the PTA members, she was talking about how the school might not have this in the future, so we were suggesting setting up a carpooling group. This could even be set up for different neighborhoods for kids that live close together, could carpool together, and you could create an email listserv, and that would be just easier on the parents if the bus service is canceled. And then one thing we're trying to use the grant money for, but actually another community partner said they might purchase this for the school instead, would be purchasing a school bike rack. The school doesn't have one, and every school should. And then the last criteria in this section is healthy environment. Through a community partnership with one of the city councilmen, the school created a peace wall a few years ago, and that fulfills one of the requirements. And we were hoping to do a reduce, reuse, recycle reminder program that students currently were talking about when we met with the Green Committee, but we were just hoping to maybe build signs with them during the Green celebration that they could hang around the school. And then this also, the outdoor education camp that the students attended in the fall, falls under this requirement as well, and their students just went to learn about the environment in an overnight camp. And then the third part of the application is school and community partnerships. Currently they have 5 community partners, the Cheverly Garden Club. We count as a community partnership, the city councilman, Prince George's County Community Cleanup, which is something that the school does every fall, and this year they were actually awarded the Silver Award, which was exciting for them. And then Progressive Cheverly, which some of the PTA members are members of, that just try to really improve the Prince George's County community. So finally, our recommendation is we think the school should apply for certification for next spring. They accept the application every spring, and we think the school, as long as they renew the recycling contract and do a professional development program with the teachers, that they do meet the minimum requirements. And then for the renewal process, which is every 4 years, the school just has to show that they're continuing with environmental initiatives and still trying to improve the school in the long run. So those were what our suggested activities were, and those are something that the school can work towards in the long run. And any questions?